The dog refused to move. Even as the stretcher rolled past, even as medics shouted and boots pounded against the concrete floor, the K9 stood frozen beside the fallen Navy SEAL, his body trembling, his eyes locked, his chest pressed protectively against the man who no longer breathed. No one could pull him away. Not the handlers, not the officers, not even the commanding captain. It was as if the dog knew something no one else did, something he was desperately trying to protect. And before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, loyalty, and second chances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stories like this remind us what truly matters. The base in Coronado, California, had seen loss before. But this felt different. Chief Petty Officer Marcus Hale had been more than just a SEAL. He had been a leader, a quiet force of strength, and the kind of man others leaned on when things got hard. At 36, he carried years of service in his posture, in the lines around his eyes, and in the calm way he faced danger. And always by his side was Rex, a Belgian Malinois trained for combat, detection, and protection, but above all, loyal beyond reason. The mission had gone wrong in a way no one could fully explain. Reports said Marcus had shielded his team during an ambush, taking the brunt of it himself. Rex had stayed with him the entire time, refusing evacuation until Marcus was finally carried out. Even then, Rex had growled, barked, and fought anyone who tried to separate them. Now, back on American soil, the bond between them seemed unbreakable even in death. Rex was placed under observation in a secured medical kennel, but he wouldn't eat. He wouldn't sleep. He paced endlessly or lay rigidly near the door, whining softly, his eyes hollow with confusion and grief. Handlers tried everything, commands, comfort, even sedation, but nothing worked. It was as if part of him had been lost alongside Marcus. That's when Olivia Bennett entered the story. Olivia was a trauma nurse at the Naval Hospital, just 29, with kind eyes and a steady presence that often calmed even the most panicked patients. She had grown up around animals, volunteering at shelters as a child, and she carried that same quiet empathy into her work. When she heard about the K9 who refused to let go of his fallen partner, something stirred in her, a feeling she couldn't ignore. She requested permission to see Rex. At first, the officers hesitated. Rex had become unpredictable, defensive, and emotionally unstable. But Olivia persisted, gently but firmly, until they allowed her supervised access. The first time she approached the kennel, the room felt heavy with tension. Rex stood immediately, muscles tight, eyes sharp. A low growl rumbled from his chest, warning her to stay back. But Olivia didn't retreat. She knelt slowly, keeping her movements soft, her voice low, offering no threat, only presence. Minutes passed like hours. Then something shifted. Rex's growl faded, replaced by a quiet whine. His ears lowered slightly, and though he didn't approach, he didn't turn away either. Olivia saw it then, not aggression, but pain. Deep, unspoken pain. Over the next few days, she returned again and again. She didn't force interaction. She simply sat with him, sometimes speaking softly, sometimes in silence. Slowly, Rex began to trust her presence. He allowed her closer. He even let her place a gentle hand near him. But one thing remained constant. The vest. Rex never let it out of his sight. It was Marcus's tactical vest, still worn from the mission, carefully preserved after being removed from his body. Somehow, Rex had clung to it during the chaos, refusing to release it. Now it lay in the kennel, guarded as fiercely as Marcus once had been. Olivia noticed something others hadn't. Every time someone got too close to the vest, Rex became alert again, protective, almost desperate. It wasn't just attachment, it was urgency. That's when a quiet suspicion began to form. One evening, when the kennel was calm and Rex seemed unusually still, Olivia made a careful decision. She spoke softly to him, her voice steady, reassuring. Slowly, she reached toward the vest. Rex tensed. But he didn't stop her. Her fingers brushed against the worn fabric, tracing the seams, the weight of it. And then she felt it, a slight bulge, something tucked deeper than standard equipment. Her heart began to race. Carefully, she unfastened a hidden compartment. Inside was a small, sealed pouch. Confused, she opened it gently, and what she found inside changed everything. It wasn't military equipment. It was a letter. Folded neatly, protected as if it were the most important thing in the world. Olivia hesitated for a moment before unfolding it, her hands trembling slightly. The handwriting was unmistakably human, careful, personal. It was addressed simply, "To whoever finds this." Marcus had written it. The letter spoke of things no mission report ever could. It revealed a man who knew the risks he faced, who had prepared for the possibility of not returning. He wrote about his team, about duty, but most of all, he wrote about Rex. He described Rex not just as a partner, but as family. As the one who had saved his life more than once, who understood him without words, who stayed when others couldn't. And then came the part that made Olivia's eyes fill with tears. Marcus had written that if anything ever happened to him, Rex should not be treated as just another military asset. He asked, no, pleaded, that Rex be given a home. A real home. A place where he could be more than a soldier. A place where he could heal. And then, at the very end, Marcus had written something even more unexpected. He had named Olivia. He didn't know her personally, but he had written about the kind of person who sees beyond the uniform, someone who could understand a wounded soul, human or not. It was as if he had trusted fate to bring the right person forward. Olivia sat there in stunned silence, the weight of the letter settling into her heart. She looked at Rex, who now lay quietly beside her, his head resting near the vest. He hadn't just been guarding Marcus. He had been protecting Marcus's final wish. From that moment on, everything changed. The letter was presented to the commanding officers, and while there were protocols and procedures, something about Marcus's words, and Rex's unwavering loyalty, moved everyone involved. Exceptions were made. Weeks later, Rex left the base, not as a military K-9, but as a companion. He went home with Olivia. The transition wasn't easy. Rex carried scars no one could see. Loud noises made him tense. Sudden movement startled him. Some nights, he paced restlessly, as if still on duty. But Olivia was patient. She gave him time, space, and something he had never truly known before, peace. Slowly, Rex began to change. He learned to rest without fear. He learned to play again. And most importantly, he learned that he was safe. The bond between them grew stronger each day, not replacing what he had with Marcus, but honoring it. Because love like that doesn't disappear. It transforms. And if this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of the power of loyalty, sacrifice, and compassion, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. It helps these stories reach others who need them. Before we end, I have a special request. Comment, loyal till the end, if you believe that love never truly leaves us. In the quiet of her home, Olivia often watched Rex resting peacefully, his breathing calm, his eyes no longer filled with fear. And sometimes, in those still moments, it felt like Marcus was still there in a way, watching, knowing that his partner was safe, his final wish fulfilled. Because sometimes, the deepest bonds don't end with goodbye. They live on, in the hearts that carry them forward.